Some inventions Japan has produced are so practical and clever that the moment you encounter them, you immediately wonder how the rest of the world is still managing without them. A stick of butter engineered exactly like a glue stick, so you apply it cleanly without touching it or dirtying a knife. A smart bathtub with a wall panel that lets you fill, reheat, and control your bath from anywhere in the house. And a robot that takes your entire laundry pile, folds every item individually, and sorts it without a single human hand involved. Japan doesn't just invent things, it invents things that make daily frustrations disappear so completely that going back to the old way feels like a step backwards. Today, we're counting down 15 Japanese inventions that instantly make life better. Watch until the end because number 15, an electric spoon that uses a mild current to make food taste saltier without a single grain of salt being added, might be the most surprising invention on this entire list. Number 1, the butter stick for no-mess application. Japan took one of the most routine kitchen frustrations and fixed it with a packaging decision so obvious it is genuinely surprising nobody else thought of it first. The butter stick is a solid stick of butter housed in a twist-up tube identical in design to a glue stick. You remove the cap, twist the base, and apply butter directly to toast, corn, a hot pan, or any surface that needs it without touching the butter, picking up a knife or dirtying anything in the process. The butter stays clean, your hands stay clean. The application is controlled, and the unused portion goes back in the fridge sealed in its own container. Every kitchen in the world uses butter daily, and every kitchen in the world has the same problem with it. Cold butter tears bread. Soft butter gets on everything. The knife needs washing. Japan looked at all three problems simultaneously and solved them with a tube. Number 2. Laundroid robot that folds laundry automatically. Laundry has two stages. The machine handles the washing, the human handles the folding. Nobody has ever particularly enjoyed the second part. Japan built a machine that handles it instead. The Laundroid, developed by Seven Dreamers Laboratories, is a cabinet-sized appliance that uses AI image recognition and robotic arms to identify each item of laundry loaded into it, determine its type and orientation, and fold it to a consistent standard before sorting it into designated compartments by category. You load the clean laundry, press start, and return to a stack of folded clothing, sorted by type without touching a single item yourself. Shirts folded flat, towels stacked, the entire pile processed without human involvement. The cycle time is slower than hand folding. The result is identical every time, regardless of how many items are in the load or how tired the person who would have been folding them actually is. Japan automated the last manual stage of laundry and made it a product you buy. Number 3. Japanese smart bathtubs with remote control panel. Japanese smart bathtubs come with a wall-mounted control panel that allows you to fill the bath, set the exact water temperature, reheat the water remotely, and receive a voice announcement when the tub is ready from anywhere in the house. You press a button in the kitchen while making dinner, and the bath begins filling at the temperature you selected. When it reaches the correct level, the panel announces that your bath is ready. If you get distracted and the water cools before you get in, you press reheat and it returns to temperature without you needing to go near the bathroom until it is ready. The system also monitors water temperature throughout the bath and maintains it passively. You are never sitting in water that has gone cold without noticing. Most countries treat a bathtub as a basin with 2 taps. Japan treated it as an appliance worthy of the same technological investment as any other major household system, and built the infrastructure around it accordingly. If you're enjoying this so far, go ahead and tap like. It tells YouTube you want more of Japan's clever everyday innovations. And if you love discovering things you didn't even know existed, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this list. Trust me, the next ones are even cooler. Number 4. Moisturizing tissue paper with lotion in every sheet. Japanese moisturizing tissues have lotion infused directly into the paper fibers during manufacturing, so every sheet delivers moisture to the skin on contact rather than removing it the way standard tissue does. The difference is immediate and cumulative. A single use feels softer and less abrasive than standard tissue. A week of use during a cold, when you are blowing your nose dozens of times daily, produces no redness, no rawness, and no broken skin around the nostrils that standard tissue consistently causes under the same conditions. The lotion is distributed evenly through the sheet rather than applied as a surface coating, so it does not transfer to hands or surfaces during normal use. The tissue functions identically to standard tissue in every other way. Japan identified that the problem with blowing your nose repeatedly is not the act itself, but the material doing the work, and fixed the material. It is sold at every convenience store and supermarket as a standard product rather than a pharmacy recommendation. Number 5. Self-heating bento boxes. Japanese convenience stores sell bento boxes with a built-in chemical heating element at the base that warms the entire meal to eating temperature in minutes without a microwave, an outlet, or any external power source of any kind. You pull a string or press a tab on the bottom of the box. A chemical reaction between quicklime and water generates heat. Within 3 to 5 minutes, the rice, curry, or noodles inside are steaming hot and ready to eat wherever you happen to be. The heating element is self-contained, disposable, and produces no flame. The outside of the box stays cool enough to hold while the food inside reaches the correct temperature. Nothing about the process requires any infrastructure beyond the box itself. Japan made a hot meal available at any location on Earth that sells the box. A hiking trail, a building site, a car, a park bench. The meal is hot. The container handles itself, and the only thing required from the person eating is the decision to eat. Number 6. UVC sterilization wands as everyday consumer products. Japan sells handheld UVC sterilization wands as mainstream consumer products available at electronics retailers and online stores, designed for daily use on surfaces, fabrics, and objects that accumulate bacteria and pathogens through normal handling. You pass the wand slowly over a surface at close range, and UVC light at the correct wavelength disrupts the DNA of bacteria, viruses, and mold spores on contact, rendering them inactive without chemicals, sprays, or residue. The process takes seconds per surface area and leaves nothing behind. The wands are used on mattresses, pillows, children's toys, keyboards, phones, and any surface that is touched regularly but cleaned infrequently. Japan made UVC technology accessible at a consumer price point and integrated it into daily cleaning routines rather than reserving it for medical or industrial settings. Most countries became aware of UVC sterilization technology during a global pandemic. Japan had been selling the wands in electronics shops for years before anyone else started paying attention. Number 7. Instant ramen invented in Japan. Instant ramen is one of the most consumed foods on Earth. It feeds university students, office workers, disaster relief recipients, and anyone who needs a hot meal in 2 minutes with nothing but boiling water. It exists because of one Japanese inventor who refused to accept that affordable hot food had to be complicated. Momofuku Ando invented instant noodles in 1958 after spending a year in a small shed behind his house, experimenting with flash-frying noodles to dehydrate them while preserving their structure. The result was a noodle that reconstituted perfectly in hot water in minutes and could be stored at room temperature indefinitely. He followed it in 1971 with the cup noodle, adding the disposable container that made preparation require nothing beyond the cup itself. The product is now produced in over 100 billion servings annually across every country in the world. One man, one shed, 1 year of experimentation. Japan gave the world a meal that has fed more people than almost any other food invention in history. Number 8. Sony Rheon Pocket Wearable Air Conditioner. Sony developed a wearable personal cooling device called the Rheon Pocket that sits in a dedicated pocket sewn into the back of a compatible undershirt, positioned against the skin at the base of the neck, where it cools the body from the inside out using semiconductor thermoelectric technology. You insert the device, wear the shirt under your regular clothing, and control the temperature through a smartphone app or a physical button. The device draws heat away from the skin surface and dissipates it outward, reducing the perceived body temperature by several degrees without any visible external unit, no tubes, no fan, no water reservoir. Japan's summer heat is extreme enough that personal cooling technology has a genuine everyday application rather than a niche one. The Rheon Pocket is sold as commuter equipment rather than specialist gear. Most wearable cooling products are visible, bulky, or require external water sources. Sony built one that fits inside a standard undershirt and disappears entirely under normal clothing. Number 9. Hybrid rice engineered for higher nutrition and yield. Japan's agricultural research institutions developed hybrid rice varieties that produce significantly higher yields per hectare than conventional varieties while simultaneously maintaining or improving the nutritional profile of the grain, addressing two of the most significant challenges in global food production with a single breeding program. Japanese hybrid rice research produced varieties with enhanced resistance to drought, temperature fluctuation, and disease, extending viable growing conditions into regions where standard rice cultivation is unreliable. The nutritional engineering produced varieties with higher protein content, improved amino acid profiles, and in some cases elevated levels of specific micronutrients. The technology has been licensed and adopted across Southeast Asia, where rice is the primary caloric staple for hundreds of millions of people. Yield improvements of 30% or more over conventional varieties translate directly into food security outcomes at a national scale. Japan treated rice not as a fixed crop, but as an engineering challenge and applied decades of precision agricultural science to improve a grain that feeds more of the world's population than any other single food. Number 10. Toto Wellness Toilet that analyzes urine daily. Toto, the company responsible for bringing the washlet bidet to the world, developed a smart toilet that analyzes urine composition during normal daily use and provides health monitoring data without any additional action required from the user beyond using the toilet as normal. Sensors built into the bowl measure glucose levels, protein content, and other biomarkers in urine that indicate kidney function, hydration status, and early markers of metabolic conditions. The data is logged and transmitted to a connected health app where trends are tracked over time and significant changes are flagged. The monitoring happens passively. There is no test kit, no sample collection, no appointment. The toilet performs the analysis automatically every time it is used, and the data accumulates in the background of daily life. Conditions including early-stage diabetes and kidney disease produce urine composition changes detectable weeks or months before physical symptoms appear. Japan built the diagnostic infrastructure into an object every person uses multiple times every day and made early detection a passive daily habit. Number 11. Body cooling spray cans for instant temperature drop. Japan produces aerosol body cooling sprays that reduce skin surface temperature by several degrees within seconds of application, sold as standard summer products at every convenience store from the first warm day of the year. The sprays use a combination of evaporative cooling compounds and menthol that work simultaneously. The aerosol evaporates rapidly on contact with skin, drawing heat away from the surface. The menthol activates cooling receptors in the skin independently, creating a perceived temperature drop that compounds the physical cooling effect. The products are designed for use over clothing as well as directly on skin and are sized to fit in a pocket or bag for use throughout the day. Commuters spray them on the platform before boarding a crowded train. Workers use them on outdoor sites during peak afternoon heat. Japan treated the discomfort of summer heat as a product design problem and produced a spray that fits in your pocket and drops your body temperature in under 10 seconds. Number 12. Ink pens that erase like pencil. Japan's Pilot Corporation developed an erasable gel pen called the Frisian that writes with the smoothness and permanence of ink and erases completely cleanly with a rubber tip, combining the best qualities of a pen and a pencil into a single instrument without the drawbacks of either. The ink uses a thermosensitive formula that becomes colorless when the friction of the eraser tip generates heat. You write, you erase, and the page is clean. No smudging, no tearing, no gray residue left behind. The line disappears as completely as if it was never there. For anyone who has ever committed something to paper and ink and immediately needed to change it, the Free Ion removes the entire problem. Notes, planners, calendars, documents. Anything written in ink that previously required crossing out can now simply be erased. It is one of the best-selling pen lines in the world. Japan looked at the oldest trade-off in writing tools and decided there was no reason it still needed to exist. Number 13. Smart Induction Rice Cooker that thinks while it cooks. Japanese smart induction rice cookers do not simply apply heat for a fixed period and stop. They monitor the cooking process in real time using sensors and AI-driven logic systems that adjust temperature, pressure, and timing continuously based on the specific rice variety, quantity, water ratio, and ambient conditions detected at the start of each cycle. The induction heating system heats the entire inner pot simultaneously rather than applying heat from a single element at the base, producing even cooking throughout the full volume of rice. The pressure function seals the chamber and raises the boiling point of water, cooking the rice faster and at higher temperature while retaining moisture. The result is rice with the texture, shine, and flavor that open flame and standard electric cookers cannot replicate. In Japan, where rice is eaten at most meals and its quality is taken seriously, the difference between a standard cooker and a smart induction model is considered significant enough to justify a price point of several $100s for the appliance. Number 14. Panasonic Nano-A hairdryer that conditions while drying. Panasonic developed a hairdryer range that emits nanoparticles alongside the heated airflow, delivering moisture directly into the hair shaft during the drying process and conditioning the hair as it dries rather than stripping moisture from it the way conventional heat does. Standard hair drying removes moisture from the hair surface and interior through heat exposure. The more heat applied, the faster the drying and the greater the moisture loss. The nano dryer applies moisture at the same time as heat, counteracting the drying effect and leaving hair in better condition after drying than before it was washed in many cases. The technology is measurably effective on damaged, color-treated, and naturally dry hair types, where conventional drying compounds existing damage over time. Regular use produces a cumulative improvement in hair condition that most people associate with expensive treatment products rather than the drying process itself. Japan integrated a hair treatment function into a standard appliance and made conditioning something that happens automatically while you do something you were already doing. Number 15. Electric salt spoon that makes food taste saltier. Researchers in Japan developed a functioning electric spoon that uses a weak electrical current to stimulate salt taste receptors on the tongue, making food taste significantly saltier than it actually is without any additional sodium being added to the meal. The spoon contains a small internal circuit that passes a mild electrical signal through the food and into the mouth on contact. The signal enhances the perception of saltiness by amplifying the response of the taste receptors responsible for detecting sodium. You eat normally, the spoon does the rest. In testing, participants perceived food as approximately 1.5 times saltier than the same food eaten with a standard spoon. The practical application is a direct reduction in dietary sodium intake for people who require a low-salt diet, but find unsalted food genuinely unpalatable. High sodium intake is one of the most significant contributors to hypertension and cardiovascular disease globally. Japan produced a medical intervention for one of the most common dietary health requirements in the world and delivered it in the form of a kitchen utensil. The rest of the world is still telling people to simply use less salt and hoping for the best. If you want to see more amazing things Japan is doing better than the rest of the world, then like and subscribe. And make sure to watch the video on your end screen, it's packed with even more life-improving things.